Hi BookTube, it's Gina. Happy Friday. How are you today? I'm doing well, and I wanted to talk to you. I have a fun stack of books here. It's 10 cozy books / cozy authors that you probably haven't heard of before. You know, I love my cozy books. This time of year especially, I just want to kind of hunker down and get under the covers and read something cozy, get me in the fall mood. And I've got a fun stack here of books. Now, the first book that I want to talk to you about is one I finished yesterday. And I read this on my Kindle and I got it from the library. So even though most of these books are vintage and probably a little difficult to find, most of them actually are available either reprinted or from the library in a Kindle version. I do have some reprints and I have some old vintage ones that I'll show you, but the one I read yesterday, I did read on my Kindle, and this was by an author called O. Douglas, and the book was called Pink Sugar. Now, I loved this book. It was really cozy, set in Scotland, about a woman who gets an inheritance from her father and goes and rents a cottage slash house in Scotland. And she takes on 3 children who need somewhere to live temporarily. And it's just a really cozy book, really great descriptions of the scenery of the house. Oh, Douglas has a lot of books, as do many of these, because she's sort of a romance writer. Actually, let's go ahead and start with the romances first, because these are pretty typical romance books, and vintage romances are they're just cozy. You can't help but be cozy in a vintage romance. So O. Douglas is the first one, and some of these authors wrote books that were not cozy, so I'll tell you that. But these vintage romance writers, pretty much anything you pick up of theirs is going to be cozy. So the next author is Betty Neels, and this is The Fifth Day of Christmas. This is a Harlequin romance, so you really know what you're getting. But Betty Neels also wrote a zillion books, and this is a pretty typical Harlequin romance, but these are short. Let's see, this is only 187 pages long, written in, let's see, when are these published? Doesn't even, oh yeah, this was actually 1971. So this is, I mean, it's obviously vintage, but 1971 was in my lifetime, which is getting more and more vintage as time goes by. This is a Christmas book. I am actually going, or set at Christmas. I've not read this one yet, so I can't tell you a ton about it, but I'm going to read it with a friend who is coming to visit me next month, and I will let you know what I think of it then. The next vintage romance author is Kathleen Norris. Look at that cover. This is Come Back to Me, Beloved. Kathleen Norris is one of the few American authors on this list. I have a few of her books. I've read a few of them. This is just a short family saga romance about a wealthy family. There are some scandals happening, and of course it has a wonderful happy ending, but I just love these covers. So Kathleen Norris, if you like American vintage romance, is absolutely wonderful. She's also got a ton of books. This one was published in 1942. She's harder to find at the library, but these vintage editions are pretty easy to get a hold of. Next in the similar vein is Faith Baldwin. I don't have a cover on this one, so it's a little bit hard to see. This one is called Hotel Hostess by Faith Baldwin. I mean, Hotel Hostess. How can you go wrong with Hotel Hostess? Listen to this. Miss Manhattan had scrubbed her face and put on her best frock for spring. Her seasonal guest had come to town. The steel and stone towers aspired to a cleaner blue sky, and the warm May sunshine was like a celestial smile. This would be a good spring book to read. I should put this in my spring pile, shouldn't I? But Faith Baldwin, another early 20th century, 1943, romance writer who has a ton of books and is fairly easy to find. All right, next, and this is sort of a bonus. This is actually going to be number 11, but I had to mention Jane Fraser. And the reason I mentioned Jane Fraser, these books are impossible to find. This is a Mills and Boon edition. The only reason that I mention her is because you may not have heard of her, but this is actually a pen name, an early pen name of my beloved Rosamund Pilcher, who wrote some of my favorite books of all time. So this is sort of a bonus because you've probably all heard of Rosamund Pilcher. And if you haven't, let me know because I can talk about more about her in another video. But Jane Fraser is the pen name that she wrote a bunch of these early 20th century romances. And let's see, this is 1966, and I have a few of these. I am on a quest to try and find them. These are really difficult to find. So keep your eyes open if you see any Jane Fraser books. They're Rosamund Pilcher. All right, next is, let's see, a cozy mystery. This is Robert Barnard, Death of a Literary Widow. Now, Robert Barnard was really prolific writer. I have a bunch of his early mysteries, early 20th century mysteries. Let's see, he was writing in 1979. 1979, gosh, that feels a long time ago. Death of a Literary Widow. So his books tend to be on the literary side. He's got one about an early Bronte manuscript that is really fun. And he is a cozy mystery writer that you may never have heard of before. I hadn't heard of him. I started buying these books when I started seeing them at the used bookstores and just fell in love with them. They're fun, they're quick, they're easy to read. They're not as great as some of my favorite cozy mysteries, but they are really a lot of fun to read. Next is a more contemporary cozy book, and this is Major Pettigrew's Last Stand by Helen Simonson. I absolutely love this book. It is about an older gentleman, Major Pettigrew, who meets a woman later on in life, and I'm going to say falls in love, builds a friendship, falls in love. I've got to do a reread of this book. I haven't read it for years. Let's see, it was published in 2010, so it is now 15 years old. I'm gonna keep this out because I'm definitely going to reread this one here soon because it is just absolutely wonderful. So she's written some subsequent books to this that I didn't enjoy as much, but this one is fantastic. Major Pettigrew's Last Stand. Next, we've got Let's Do Tea is So Intoxicating by Mary Essex. Look at this edition. Isn't this beautiful? Let's see. This is a British Library edition, and this is about a gentleman who decides to open a tea shop / restaurant. And let's just say things do not go as he planned. Here's this one is, I would say, is cozy with a smidge more of a bite to it. Let's see, this is published in 1950, and here's a cozy passage that I love. Before he launched out into the solemnity of opening up, money had to be obtained, for commodities had to be bought. Chairs and tables, for instance, cups, saucers, plates, cutlery, and washing up bowls. His idea was to let his trusted friends into this little gold mine. Well, we're going to see how that little gold mine goes, but I love these vintage British Library editions. I think they're so pretty. So this is Tea is So Intoxicating by Mary Essex, and I'm actually except for Robert Barnard, these are all female authors, which is an aside. Okay, lastly, oh no, I no, that's a lie, Gina. That is a total lie. My next two authors are males. So let's just jump in, because these are 3 Persephone editions, which I love, love, love my Persephone editions. This one I actually found at Half Price Books. This is Lady Rose and Mrs. Memmary by Ruby Ferguson. And I have not read this one yet, so I can't tell you a lot about it, but it is a beautiful Persephone. And let's see, the inside flap, I'm not going to read that to you. Let's just say anything called Lady Rose and Mrs. Memmary is bound to be cozy. Sometimes these Persephones do have some bite. They are not all just complete, cozies like some of these are. So I'm going to read this one here this season, and I will report back to you on what I think about it. And then the next 2 I have read, these are 2 more Persephones. I love both of these books so much. Greenery Street by Denis, Mackail. This one is about a young couple just starting out, and Greenery Street is sort of this street that a whole bunch of people live on, and it starts out, let's see, let me get to the first page here. It would clearly be an exaggeration to say that every young married couple begins life in Greenery Street. It wouldn't even be true to say that every house in Greenery Street contains a young married couple. Yet both these statements have frequently been made, and so accurately do they describe the spirit of the place that no one has ever troubled to contradict them. We certainly shouldn't dream of contradicting them ourselves. So really sweet book about a young married couple just starting out, and I definitely recommend this one. And then lastly, this is Greengates by RC Sherriff. Now, RC Sherriff is, I really, really enjoy his books. This is, I've got the bookmark, the matching and papers match the bookmarks, which I absolutely love. Greengates is a book about an older couple who are trying to adjust to the husband retiring, and it's challenging for them. And eventually, at one point, they go for a walk in the country and they decide to move. And I love this book. It is absolutely wonderful. RC Sherriff also wrote, what's it called? A Fortnight in September, which is about a family that goes to the seaside. And the Hopkins manuscript, which is basically, I would say science fiction, early science fiction book. So all of his books are not cozy. Fortnight in September is definitely, I would say, cozy, although it's got some bite. This one's definitely got some bite to it too, because it is about a relationship that is in a bit of a turmoil, and I absolutely love it. So that is my list. I actually have lots more. There is Elizabeth Fair and Susan Scarlett and so many good early 20th century cozy writers that maybe we'll do another video on this. But we're up to 15 minutes, and I like to keep these short and sweet, so I will go ahead and end this and just say happy Friday, and I will see you next time. Bye.